Pragmata. Back in 2020, I was totally blown away by the Pragmata trailer, but man, was I bummed when the game just vanished. But oh miracle friends, last year it started popping up again. And we even got an actual release date. This is a single-player sci-fi action game that focuses on playing with two characters at once. The story takes place in the near future on a cold lunar research station that suddenly stops responding to Earth. The main characters are Hugh, a guy in a spacesuit with a jetpack, and a little girl named Diana, who's an android with a childlike appearance and a pretty practical specialization. At one point, a lunar tremor throws everything into chaos. Hugh gets cut off from his team and seriously injured, and it's Diana who pulls him out of trouble. After that, they work together to escape the station and get back to Earth while a hostile AI and its battle bots are lurking around. The gameplay is built around the combo of Hugh's mobility and Diana's hacking skills. Hugh zips through the complex using his suit, jumps over gaps, and quickly changes positions in hallways and rooms, while Diana hacks into the security system, opens doors, disables locks, and literally paves the way forward. This station is basically a big maze with locked nodes and puzzles made by the AI. Progress is all about moving around, finding routes, and applying hacking at the right moments. Oh, and of course there's combat too. And again, it features a duo mechanic, where Hugh fires his gun and survives by moving, while Diana hacks enemies in real time through mini-puzzles. It all looks super interesting and unique. Pragmata is set to drop on April 23rd, 2026. The game will be available on PC, PS5, Nintendo Switch 2, and Xbox Series. Well, of course, I couldn't not mention the new Resident Evil Requiem. And by the time you're watching this video, the game has probably already come out. This is now the 9th main entry in the Resident Evil series. The story kicks off with Grace Ashcroft, a technical analyst for the FBI. She's sent to investigate a series of strange cases where people are dying from an unknown illness, and the plot leads her to the closed Wrenwood Hotel in Raccoon City. For Grace, it's also personal because this place is tied to the death of her mother, Alice, and the ruins of the city, destroyed decades ago, still linger around. Meanwhile, the second storyline follows an older Leon Kennedy. He works as a DSO agent and is on a different branch of the investigation, connected to a former Umbrella scientist named Victor Gideon. The story alternates between the two heroes and gradually brings their paths together, returning the series to major events surrounding Raccoon City and Umbrella's legacy. The gameplay in Requiem is intentionally split into two paths. Grace's part leans more towards pure survival horror. You've got very few resources, it's better to move stealthily, hide, listen to your surroundings, and always stay on high alert. Leon's storyline, on the other hand, shifts towards maximum action and more direct confrontations with zombies and various creatures. He'll have a big arsenal of weapons, close combat moves, parries, and stylish finishing moves. So, friends, overall, it should be really diverse and definitely not boring. The game is available on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series. Back in 2024, the Chinese studio Kangmo Games caught everyone's attention with the announcement of their mysterious yet super ambitious action game, Project January. Many gamers quickly compared its vibe to the hit game at the time, Ghost of Tsushima. The developers played it pretty close to the chest with details and went silent for a whole 2 years, but recently they made a comeback to fully showcase their game, now titled A Whisper of Fall. With backing from the PlayStation China Hero Project, they released the first full gameplay trailer. The video gives us a peek at the plot setup and key mechanics of this action RPG set in a Wuxia world. You'll step into the shoes of a simple fisherman who, due to unforeseen circumstances, has to go undercover in the ranks of the Jinyiwei, the elite imperial guard of the Ming Dynasty. You'll need to navigate between the guard's orders and the tasks from members of the black market, uncovering a global conspiracy against the backdrop of the empire's collapse. The game combines spectacular sword duels with the ability to parry any strike and an advanced parkour system. The protagonist can run up walls and leap across the rooftops of an ancient city. There's also a significant focus on investigations in the gameplay. Using a unique deduction ability, the protagonist can reconstruct events and literally foresee the future to find the true culprit and manipulate the quest outcomes. The developers promise freedom of exploration and deep variability. You, my friends, get to choose whether to become a vigilante, a bureaucrat, or carve your own path. A Whisper of Fall is being developed for PlayStation 5 and PC. The game will be available on digital storefronts like Steam and the Epic Games Store. The estimated release date is the fourth quarter of 2026. On March 27th, Agent 007. First Light is coming out, an action game from IO Interactive. the studio that spent 20 years perfecting their craft with games about that bald mercenary in a suit, Hitman. So they decided to create a game about the most famous British spy. But this time, you'll get a story about a young Bond who's only 26 years old. He's not quite the suave agent in a tuxedo with a martini like in the movies. He's just an ordinary naval pilot who gets invited to the 0.0 agent training program after some heroic act. However, his very first mission ends pretty sadly. He was supposed to catch some traitor agent, but he totally failed. After that, Bond teams up with his mentor named Greenway to uncover a conspiracy within British intelligence. This will be an original story that isn't tied to any of the James Bond films. Even the agent's look isn't based on any of the actors. The developers created their own James Bond specifically for this game. The gameplay here will be similar to Hitman. Each mission can be approached in different ways. You can use stealth, blend into the shadows, and use all sorts of spy gadgets. You could just shoot everyone with a pistol and charge right in, or you could try to negotiate and talk your way out. So, guys, just like in those games about the bald killer, you'll choose how you want to play. And once again, guys, Agent 007. First light drops on March 27th, 2026. The game will be available on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S. Valor Mortis is a single-player, Souls-like game from a first-person perspective, set in an alternate version of Europe during Napoleon's invasion. The game's atmosphere promises to be as dark and brutal as possible. The main character is William, a French soldier who died on the battlefield and miraculously came back to life. But along with him, a strange force called oil globin entered the world, a plague-like substance that corrodes everything around. It turned his comrades into nightmarish mutants, and it gave William the ability to control this infection and use it as a weapon. His main goal is to stop Napoleon and reclaim his homeland, even if that means fighting an army of revived monsters. The game won't shy away from brutality. Blood, decay, and mutilated bodies will accompany players at every turn. Enemies turn into grotesque zombies right before your eyes while William unlocks new abilities. Among them are fiery blasts from his hands and other moves fueled by found oil globin. The deeper you dive into this darkness, the stronger the hero becomes, and the more terrifying the world around him gets. Valor Mortis is set to release in 2026 on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series. And the game called Saras is a single-player, third-person action-adventure. In the story, we find ourselves on Carcos, an alien planet under constant threat of eclipse, where a lost extraterrestrial colony remains. Arjun Defraj is the main protagonist, and he's on a mission to save the entire colony. He works there as an operative in a combat suit, tracking down an important figure, your antagonist. At the same time, you're trying to gather bits of information about what happened on this planet. The gameplay is a fast-paced shooter action with dense patterns of enemy fire and a level structure. Each run starts with gear selection, followed by exploring the biome, dealing with vehicles and other threats, and finding your way through locations with puzzles while trying to survive serious confrontations. The most notable mechanics revolve around a shield weapon. The shield allows you to literally absorb enemy projectiles, and the accumulated energy turns into a powerful shot. The hero's right arm transforms into a twilight weapon, which can be charged up and unleashed back at the enemies. Between these runs, the game periodically takes you to a hub, where you track your ongoing progress, unlock upgrades, and meet key allies to chat with. Overall, the game looks pretty interesting. The release is set for April 30th, 2026. It'll be available on PC and PS5. Well, this is just classic. The first Gothic, a full remake of the classic from 2001. I don't know if there are people out there who aren't familiar with the story of this classic, but, you never know. So here's a quick rundown of the plot. We find ourselves in a valley of mines, turned into a colony under a magical dome. The kingdom of Merton is at war with orcs, and the king needs magical ore. Prisoners are forced to work in the mines while mages put up a barrier. Then, a little disaster happens. The exit gets closed off for everyone. Inside, the strong quickly take control, while outside, the king can only bargain with the new masters of the mines. Basically, we play as a new nameless hero, a fresh prisoner, and early on we hit a choice between 3 factions, which will determine our character's development, access to quests, and how your story unfolds. The game offers free exploration of the Valley of Mines with a focus on survival in the first hours, and growth through learning. The hero literally starts off as a green recruit. Weapon swings are heavy and clumsy, but then we search for mentors and start training. We unlock skills in one-handed, two-handed, and ranged weapons. We learn new moves and see how our techniques change. The remake puts a significant emphasis on a living world and NPC reactions. Everyone here lives by their own daily schedule, from NPCs to creatures and orcs, and the reaction system takes into account the story progress, current quests, and events around, so the colony responds to your actions more realistically. The developers assure us that the main storyline, key characters, and familiar structure will make it into the updated version unchanged. Gothic 1 was revolutionary in 2001 in every way, and I really hope the remake can capture that unforgettable vibe of the old beloved classic RPG. The game is set to release on June 5th of this year. The Gothic remake will be available on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S. Tides of Annihilation, a future single-player action-adventure game. So, here's the deal. London has been invaded, the city is shattered, and in the ruins, traces of the legendary King Arthur are starting to pop up. We play as Gwendolyn, who's left all alone after the disaster, trying to reach the Holy Grail. This is a key artifact in this world needed to save her sister and stop the impending doom. Avalon in this story is the mythical side of the world, linked to Arthurian legends, and that's where the main enemies come from. The big feature in the combat is the Knights of the Round Table, legendary warriors from the Arthurian tales, but here they show up as ghostly allies. In battle, Gwendolyn can summon 2 of these knights at once, and she keeps 2 more in reserve for quick swaps. The gameplay seems a bit complex, but it's actually pretty interesting. The point is, guys, that each knight has their own set of attacks, and we build combos around whoever we summon at that moment. In a fresh trailer, the developers highlighted one particular idea. Some of the fights take place in a mirrored space. It's like a pocket zone next to the regular location, where a parallel battle is happening, and the heroine and the knight work together as 2 sides of the same scene. Overall, it's unusual and quite intriguing. The release is planned for the end of 2026. The game will be available on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series. Crimson Desert is a single-player, open-world action-adventure from the creators of Black Desert Online. The story revolves around Cliff and his mercenary team. Here, on the continent of Pavel, factions maintained a very delicate balance. Cliff had his squad with allies, but then the world suddenly shook due to a surprise attack by black bears led by Murden. Our allies suffered heavy losses, and the survivors were scattered all over the world. Now, Cliff sets his goal to rebuild his team and confront those who caused this massacre. Basically, it's revenge for revenge. Pavel is a large continent with cities, wilderness, ruins, and the mystery of the abyss, where there are many routes and tasks, plus we've been promised a ton of side quests and dungeons. The combat looks like a hybrid of action RPG and what we've already seen in Black Desert Online. Combos, tempo changes, melee elements, kicks and grabs, and of course a lot of different weapons, each with their own movesets. Progression is tied to fragments of the abyss, which is a key resource here, used for unlocking and enhancing skills that drop from tough bosses and are found in the world of Pavel. As for gear, we upgrade it using materials from mine doors, quests, bosses, and exploration. Honestly, guys, the game looks really interesting. Crimson Desert is set to launch on March 19th, 2026. It will be available on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series. Gears of War. E-Day is coming. The story of E-Day is presented as a full backstory, basically the very beginning of Marcus and Dom's legend, and the start of the war with the Locusts. The developers promise the signature DNA of Gears of War, with cover-to-cover runs, quick dashes to position, close-range combat, and constant calculations on when to peek out and when to switch positions. They also stated that this project will be the new benchmark for graphical capabilities of Unreal Engine 5 for the coming years, with overall image detail exceeding the previous game Gears of War 5 by 100 times. E-Day will set new standards in the video game industry regarding visual effects. Pretty bold claims, don't you think? But if it turns out to be true, I'm all for it. The release is set for 2026. The game will launch on PC and Xbox. Gods. Dead and Reapers is a future free-to-play online action RPG with a top-down view from the creators of Wolcen. The game was previously called Project Pantheon, and now Gods, Dead and Reapers is its official title. The idea is that we play as a Reaper who works for death. The world revolves around the afterlife, where the gods have already fallen, and order is maintained by the remnants of their power and those who have managed to take the top spots. The starting mythology for the project is northern, so the first locations feature enemies tied to local legends and their underworlds. The main gameplay feature is the extraction-style loot runs. For a raid, we prepare at our base, picking out gear and fine-tuning our skills. Then we head into the zone, complete objectives and contracts, while trying to grab some loot along the way. If we make it out alive, the loot stays with us, but if we don't make it, all gear and finds remain in the zone. This makes each run pretty risky, because the map isn't just full of dangerous monsters, but also other real players. The release date is set for the fourth quarter of 2026. The game will be available on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S. Stranger Than Heaven is a new single-player action-adventure game. It's an adventure-action game focused on fighting storylines. The project was in development under the codename Project Sentry for a while. It was first showcased back in 2024, but the official title was settled on last summer when the developers released the second teaser, and subtly hinted that the game differs in scale and gameplay from the usual Yakuza formula, like a dragon. The story revolves around the same hero experiencing different periods in a fictional version of a Japanese metropolis. It's often described as a fictional Asakusa. The plot centers on Detective Makudaito. He takes on an investigation and quickly gets tangled in shady dealings with suspicious characters. You'll explore urban and Japanese neighborhoods, chase various leads, solve puzzles, get into scrapes, and often settle conflicts with your fists. The combat is presented as a third-person brawler, so the camera is over your shoulder, and fights will be close range, where timing and using your surroundings matter. Overall, I think fans of Yakuza will enjoy this. The game will be released on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series. Mistfall Hunter, a future online action RPG in third person, where they mix monster battles with clashes against other real players in a looting raid format. So basically, it's going to be a classic Extraction. The world here is set after Ragnarok, the War of the Gods is over, and the land is covered by Gilden Mist. It's this golden fog that messes with all living things and turns some creatures into ugly monsters. You could say it's a local version of the zone from Stalker. The game is set up like this. We have a camp shelter where we prepare and head out to the infected zones, then come back with loot. Inside the raid, we fight against infected creatures while keeping in mind that real opponents are roaming the map, and they need loot just like you do. If your character gets killed, then the loot is lost along with the risk of losing everything valuable. To complete the raid, you need to reach the exit point, which the game calls the Woodsman Returner. It's a local way to get back to camp. Overall, folks, it all looks pretty interesting and beautiful for an Extraction. Mistfall Hunter will release in 2026 on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series. Phantom Blade Zero is a pretty fast-paced action role-playing game set in a unique kung fu punk world, blending the aesthetics of traditional Chinese martial arts with dark steampunk technology. Gamers will take on the role of Soul, an elite assassin who was falsely accused of his master's death. Mortally wounded and hunted by former clan members, Soul has to uncover a massive conspiracy and find out who framed him in the remaining 66 days of his life. The gameplay is inspired by the golden age of Hong Kong action films and built on the latest version of Unreal Engine 5, using cutting-edge motion capture technology. The combat system offers deep customization of your style. You'll have access to an extensive arsenal of weapons, along with countless combos in battle. Every fight in Phantom Blade Zero is a choreographed dance of death, demanding quick reflexes and tactical thinking from you. The game is set to release on September 8th, 2026. It will be available on PC and PS5. John Carpenter with Toxic Commando. Cult director John Carpenter, known for movies like The Thing, Halloween, and Escape from New York, is jumping headfirst into the gaming industry with the cooperative shooter Toxic Commando, developed by Cyber Interactive, the creators of World War Z. The events of Toxic Commando will unfold in the near future, when experiments to harness energy from the Earth's core spiral out of control, leading to some pretty bad consequences, specifically the release of a sinister blight that turns people into nightmarish zombies. To save the world, a squad of Toxic Commandos is sent out. That's you teaming up with your friends. You'll be slicing through hordes of monsters in a team of up to 4 players in co-op mode. We're promised class selection, various modes of transportation, a wide arsenal of firearms, and even katanas. Plus, of course, they're delivering a world inspired by the comedies, action flicks, and horror films of the 80s, especially the works of director Carpenter himself. Toxic Commando is set to release in 2026. The game will be available on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series. Hey guys, a huge thank you to everyone who watched this video all the way to the end, and a big shout out to those who support me with likes and comments. I really appreciate it. And as always, take care of yourselves and your loved ones. Sending hugs to all of you. Good luck, and see you next time. Bye-bye.